2020 National Electrical Code, commonly known as the NEC, provides specific guidelines for electrical installations in computer rooms, especially concerning raised floors. Understanding these guidelines is crucial to ensure compliance and safety. Let's address the installation of receptacles and power cords under raised floors in computer rooms based on the NEC. Receptacles under raised floors are permitted. NEC 645.5 code clearly states that receptacles in computer rooms need not be mounted. This means that the NEC does not require these receptacles to be physically attached to the raised floor structure. They can be placed directly on the floor surface. The primary reason for this allowance is the flexibility needed in computer rooms to accommodate frequent changes in equipment layout. Equipment often needs to be moved, added, or removed, so fixed receptacles can be impractical. By allowing unmounted receptacles, the code provides for easier rearrangement and maintenance. Power cords under raised floors are also permitted. NEC 645.5 C2 explicitly allows the use of flexible cords and cables under raised floors. This includes power cords for office equipment, business machines, and computers. The NEC recognizes that computer rooms require extensive cabling and power connections, and allowing flexible cords and cables under the floor is a practical way to manage these connections. However, there are specific requirements for these flexible cords and cables. Firstly, they must be suitable for the application. This means they should be rated for the voltage and current they will carry, and they should be appropriately insulated to prevent electrical hazards. Secondly, the cords and cables must be installed in a manner that prevents physical damage. This can be achieved by using cable trays or other support systems to keep the cords and cables off the floor and protect them from being stepped on or damaged by equipment. Thirdly, the cords and cables must be properly grounded. This is essential to ensure that any fault current is safely conducted back to the source, preventing electrical shock hazards. In summary, the NEC does permit receptacles and power cords under raised floors in computer rooms, but these installations must comply with specific safety requirements. It is critical to use appropriate cords and cables, install them safely, and ensure proper grounding. If there is a disagreement or misinterpretation of the code by an inspector, it is essential to address this systematically. Firstly, clarify the NEC requirements. Explain to the authority having jurisdiction, known as the AHJ, the specific NEC articles that support the installation. Specifically, cite NEC 645.5 code regarding receptacles and NEC 645.5 C2 regarding flexible cords and cables. Secondly, provide documentation. Furnish the inspector with copies of these relevant NEC articles to support the position. This documentation can help clear up any misunderstandings and ensure that the installation is evaluated based on the correct code requirements. Thirdly, consider a second opinion. If disagreements persist, seek the opinion of another licensed electrician or independent inspector. A second opinion can provide additional clarity and support the interpretation of the NEC requirements. Now, let's elaborate on the technical considerations for electrical installations under raised floors in computer rooms. Firstly, the power distribution. Computer rooms often require a high density of electrical outlets to support the numerous devices. This can be achieved using power distribution units, known as PDU, which provide multiple outlets from a single power source. PDU can be mounted under the raised floor to keep them out of sight and prevent them from taking up valuable floor space. However, when installing PDU under the raised floor, it is essential to ensure that they are adequately ventilated to prevent overheating. Secondly, grounding and bonding. Proper grounding and bonding are critical in computer rooms to prevent electrical noise and ensure safety. The raised floor itself should be bonded to the building's grounding system to provide a low impedance path for fault current. All metallic components under the raised floor, such as cable trays and equipment racks, should also be bonded together to create a unified grounding system. Thirdly, cable management. With numerous cables and cords running under the raised floor, proper cable management is essential to prevent clutter and ensure easy access for maintenance and repairs. Cable trays, ladder racks, and other cable support systems can be used to organize the cables and keep them off the floor. It is also important to label all cables clearly so that they can be easily identified. Fourthly, environmental considerations. Computer rooms often have specific environmental requirements, such as temperature and humidity control. Electrical installations under the raised floor should be designed to withstand these environmental conditions. For example, cords and cables should be rated for the operating temperature range of the computer room. It is also essential to ensure that there is adequate ventilation under the raised floor to prevent the buildup of heat and moisture. Fifthly, fire safety. Fire safety is a critical consideration in computer rooms due to the high concentration of electrical equipment and combustible materials. Electrical installations under the raised floor should be designed to minimize the risk of fire. This includes using fire-resistant cables and cords, installing fire detection and suppression systems, and ensuring that all electrical equipment is properly grounded. The NEC also specifies requirements for fire stopping to prevent the spread of fire through openings in the raised floor. Now, let's address some common misconceptions about electrical installations under raised floors in computer rooms. One common misconception is that all electrical work under the raised floor must be performed by a licensed electrician. While it is always recommended to use a licensed electrician for complex or high voltage work, some tasks, such as installing low voltage data cables, can be performed by trained IT personnel. However, it is essential to ensure that anyone performing electrical work is properly trained and follows all safety precautions. Another misconception is that all power cords under the raised floor must be plenum rated. Plenum rated cables are designed to be installed in air handling spaces, such as plenums, without contributing to the spread of fire or toxic smoke. While plenum rated cables are often used in computer rooms, they are not always required. The NEC allows the use of non-plenum rated cables under the raised floor if they are installed in a conduit or cable tray that provides adequate fire protection. Another misconception is that all receptacles under the raised floor must be GFCI protected. GFCI protection is required in certain locations where there is a high risk of electrical shock, such as bathrooms and kitchens. However, GFCI protection is not typically required for receptacles under the raised floor in computer rooms unless there is a specific hazard present, such as a wet environment. Now, let's provide some practical tips for electrical installations under raised floors in computer rooms. Firstly, plan the installation carefully. Before starting any electrical work, create a detailed plan that includes the location of all receptacles, power cords, and other electrical components. This plan should also include the routing of all cables and cords to minimize clutter and ensure easy access for maintenance. Secondly, use high-quality materials. Always use high-quality cables, cords, receptacles, and other electrical components that are rated for the application. This will help to ensure the safety and reliability of the installation. Thirdly, follow all safety precautions. Always follow all safety precautions when performing electrical work, including wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. Disconnect power to the circuit before working on any electrical components and verify that the circuit is energized using a voltage tester. Fourthly, label everything clearly. Label all cables, cords, receptacles, and other electrical components clearly so that they can be easily identified. This will make it much easier to troubleshoot problems and perform maintenance in the future. Fifthly, document the installation. Create a detailed record of the electrical installation, including a wiring diagram and a list of all components used. This documentation will be invaluable for future maintenance and troubleshooting. Electrical installations under raised floors in computer rooms require careful planning, attention to detail, and adherence to the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. By following these guidelines and tips, it is possible to create a safe, reliable, and efficient electrical system that meets the needs of the computer room. Remember to consult with qualified professionals such as licensed electricians and electrical engineers to ensure that the installation is performed correctly and complies with all applicable regulations. In summary, The NEC provides clear guidance on the installation of receptacles and power cords and arrays floors in computer rooms. It is essential to understand and follow these guidelines to ensure compliance and safety. If there are disagreements or misinterpretations of the code, it is crucial to address them systematically by clarifying the NEC requirements, providing documentation, and seeking a second opinion if necessary. By following these steps, it is possible to resolve any issues and ensure that the electrical installation meets all applicable codes and standards. Finally, remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving. It is essential to stay up to date on the latest requirements to ensure that electrical installations are always safe and compliant. This can be achieved by attending training courses, reading industry publications, and consulting with qualified professionals. By staying informed and proactive, you can help to ensure that computer rooms and other electrical installations are always safe, reliable, and efficient. Computer rooms are critical infrastructure components, and their electrical systems must be designed and installed with the utmost care and attention to detail. By following the guidelines outlined in this discussion, it is possible to create electrical systems that meet the needs of these facilities and provide a safe and reliable environment for the equipment they house. Remember to always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals to ensure that all electrical work is performed correctly and complies with all applicable codes and standards. And don't hesitate to ask questions and seek clarification when needed. The NEC is a complex document, and it is essential to have a thorough understanding of its requirements to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. By working together and sharing knowledge, we can help to create safer and more efficient electrical systems for computer rooms and other critical facilities. Always prioritize safety. Consult with qualified professionals. Stay up to date on the latest codes and standards, and never hesitate to ask questions. By following these principles, we can help to ensure that electrical installations are always safe, reliable, and efficient. Remember that the information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with qualified professionals before performing any electrical work, and always follow all applicable codes and standards. By taking these precautions, you can help to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. Electrical safety is everyone's responsibility, and we must all do our part to ensure that electrical systems are designed, installed, and maintained to the highest standards. By working together and following the principles outlined in this discussion, we can help to create safer and more efficient electrical systems for all types of facilities. Finally, always remember that electrical work can be dangerous. It is essential to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others from electrical hazards. This includes wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, disconnecting power to the circuit before working on any electrical components, and verifying that the circuit is de-energized using a voltage tester. By following these safety precautions, you can help to prevent electrical shocks, burns, and other injuries. Electrical safety is a critical concern, and we must all do our part to ensure that electrical systems are designed, installed, and maintained to the highest standards. By working together and following the principles outlined in this discussion, we can help to create safer and more efficient electrical systems for all types of facilities. The recommendations are: firstly, contact the authority having jurisdiction or code official. Explain the NEC requirements and seek their guidance. Secondly, provide documentation. Provide the inspector with copies of the relevant NEC articles, which are 645.5 Cohen and 645.5 C2 to support your position. Thirdly, consider a second opinion. If necessary, consider consulting with another licensed electrician or independent inspector to get a second opinion.